Hello and welcome to my first video on this channel, and it's the start of a new series that is going to be called From Bronze to Diamond, which is going to be in-depth coaching on how you can climb in solo queue playing support and mainly Mercy. And I actually did this journey myself. I went from 960 SR to 3,738 was my peak. I'm currently in Diamond. I stopped playing Overwatch for a while. So if you are looking for tips on how to get GM or top 400, there are a lot of, better channels for that thing. All right, that's enough about me, and let's get to the actual video. There are some different settings I want to talk about that you may not know the difference of and how they affect your playstyle. As a default, toggle Guardian Angel, the third option, will be on. This means that whenever you press Shift, you're going to fly all the way to your teammates. To stop your movement, you need to press Shift again, which makes it more difficult to control. If you have this setting off, you need to hold Shift to use Guardian Angel. This means a simple tap will just get you a tiny bit ahead. With this setting, you're less inclined to accidentally find yourself in the middle of the enemy team. It takes a little bit to get used to, so start practicing right away, but most likely you already have this setting fixed. The second option that you can change is Guardian Angel performs beam target. If this setting is on, you will always Guardian Angel, and from now on I will refer to this as fly or shift, to the teammate who are currently healing or damage boosting. If you often experience yourself accidentally flying backwards, you should turn this off. Both on and off have their individual perks. If you have prefers beam target on, you have 2 seconds to fly to the target you're connected to even when they're out of line of sight. May come in handy if you're falling off the edge. Before I knew how to super jump, I abused this setting, as you can super jump against items if you press space when you're next to them. I also use this to juke enemies by jumping into holes or out of the map. The plus side of having prefers beam target off is that you will have more uptime of your staff. You can heal or damage boost as you fly towards someone else, meaning you can confuse your enemies and escape while still healing an ally when they're taking damage. Say you got out of position to heal a friendly. Friendly is still low, but you need to get out of there. With Guardian Angel performs beam target off, you can keep healing, look to your next ally you want to fly to, and escape. If you have it on, you have to disconnect to your ally, look to your escape route, shift, then quickly turn around and connect your healing beam to your previous ally again. Toggle beam connection on or off. So if I click mouse 1, I'm going to connect my beam and I don't have to hold it and it's going to stay connected. If I have Guardian Angel performs beam target on, I would not have this setting. I really like it together with Guardian Angel performs beam target off. I notice a lot of people in bronze, because of watching replays and play of the game, have pretty low FPS. I had some myself when I was bronze. I had 24 playing on a laptop. And here are some settings that you can use or change to maximize your frames. Under graphics quality, go to advanced. With effects, detail and texture quality on high, I see the outlines of enemies and enemies themselves well, but I also get max performance out of my frames because everything else is set on low. I used to knock it higher than 90 frames, and now I limit it to my screen and I get all of it. PS, don't use a controller if you're playing on PC, and if you're on a laptop, buy an external mouse. Damageboost and how it works. I wanted to explain how Damageboost works, as there are a few videos out there that shows it in depth, and chances are you might not know where damage is actually amplified. In bronze, I heal a lot more than I damage boost, but it's still good for you to know how it works. For damage boost to take effect, your beam needs to be connected on initial fire. That means if you connect your beam to Moira or Ashe after they have shot their dynamite or orb, you won't damage boost, so neither gets extra ult charge. However, this also means that if you damage boost Moira's orbs when it is fired, you don't need to keep damage boosting her afterwards, so you can release the beam and heal someone or damage boost someone else. This is great to know, as in bronze your best bet is to damage boost abilities that don't rely much on aim and that the enemy team can just walk into. Bob is a great ult in bronze, and so is Coalescent, so making sure you damage boost dynamites and damage orbs are great ways to get both of those ults fast. Look at this clip. A damage boosted Ashe that hits the team as they leave spawn almost generates 50% ult charge. Without damage boost, she gets 34%. Another thing to be aware of is that if the shot fired will kill the enemy without your damage boost, you and your teammate will not get extra ult charge as the shot won't be boosted. A Widow headshot, for example, or McCree's ult if it's fully charged. You should always try to damage boost when you don't have to heal. An example is when you're leaving spawn. Have the blue beam connect to your teammate that is most likely to do damage first. If you don't have an idea who that is, then just connect it to anyone in the front line. The best way to learn how much you can damage boost at Mercy is analyzing your second support. Do you have silver or gold healing? What is your other support doing? Are they dead a lot? Are they focusing on DPSing or are they focused on healing? By looking at the second support and their performance, you can learn if you're more free to damage boost or if you should focus more on healing. Sometimes I've gotten paired with a great Moira that heals a lot and then I can afford to blue beam a lot more. PS, don't analyze this out loud to your teammate, just take note in your head. No one likes a know-it-all. The most important thing for you is to have as much uptime of your beam as possible. Try to make all connections matter, healing or damage boosting. Protect me! When I learned how to not be dependent on my team to survive, I climbed 1000 SR. How I did this was that I basically stopped walking. I always used my teammates to move around. By doing so, started to learn how to create distance between me and my teammates to be able to confuse DPS and tanks that were going for me. If a Winston jumped me, I started backing away, and then I used Guardian Angel way across the map to fly to an ally. If it's difficult to know where all your teammates are, decide on one to focus on. It can be your second support, because if you go to them, you may also get some healing. But don't lure an ulting Genji into your second support. Try to make it a habit to never stand still. If you know how to super jump, use it to get to the high ground. You can practice jumping while you're in queue using Neander's jump practice. I will link to their video in the description. PS, if you rarely die, the first one to notice this in bronze is the enemy support. If they play Moira, they're going to come after you with all they've got. Surviving against Moira can be tricky. The way to do this is making her waste her cooldowns. If she jumps into the enemy team and doesn't get a kill on you, that leaves the enemy team without healing. Keep your beam connected and keep healing, and fly as far away from her as possible and use walls as cover to start your health regeneration. Remember that you can heal for 2 seconds while your beam is still being connected while you're out of line of sight. If you know how to jump, confuse her and take the high ground. If you manage to stay alive long enough for your team to get picks, even if you die, the Moira will be left alone and your team will still win the fight. The same goes for a Mercy that's using Valkyrie. Make sure she wastes her ult trying to kill you and use the environment to confuse her. Heal through walls and restart your health regeneration that way as well. Res is, in my opinion, a very high skill ability to get value out of, at least in bronze. You can potentially throw your games by misusing Ressurect. Why Res is strong is because it can turn the fight in your favor by bringing one player back and so giving you the advantage in numbers. Maybe you make it a 5 versus 4 or a 5v5 instead of being 1 under. Now, how this can throw games is if, say, a fight is lost and the enemy controls the point. The enemy team has 5 players up and you have 4, and your Hog dies. So you res Hog, and as you do so, your other 2 teammates die, leaving you and Hog on the point alone versus 5 players. You keep healing Hog and he keeps healing himself, and you 2 fight 2v5, as in 2 versus 5, for a long time. There's 6th player joins the fight and both of you die, just as your other 4 teammates come back to the fight. Now, since this is bronze, they won't have the awareness probably that they are in a 4v6, so they start using their ults. You and Hog come back, and you might even use Valkyrie from spawn to try and get to your teammates faster. As you get there, they die. You resting in the wrong moment can make a regroup impossible to achieve, and as you keep healing that Hog all for himself, you also give the enemy team ult charge that they can use on the rest of your team as they try to come back into the fight. On average, when I play in bronze, I rarely rest, maybe 4 rests a game. My second support is often not healing that much, and The downtime resting gives my beam is rarely worth it. My life is more important than most people who die on my team, so is it worth risking it for them? Remember, when the support dies, in most cases the fight is lost. You won't get recognition for most things you do, but your survivability is what can carry games, especially if you survive better than the enemy support. What to keep in mind when resting? Am I in risk of dying if I rest here? Is it worth the risk? A Roadhog Reaper may to stall a point, for example. That may be worth it if it's overtime. Is the other support alive? Can her rest behind cover? Is the fight won or lost? As a bronze player, all of those things may be difficult to keep track of. Decide on one thing to focus on first and be aware of what happens after a rest or a failed rest. If you die as you rest, look at the kill feed. Does the person kill the whole enemy team, or do they die soon after? Do you lose the point or win the point? You can get away with a lot of bad rests all the way to diamond, but it's a habit you should try to get out of. BattleMercy is another thing that can throw games, or at least fights. Often when you pistol, you may sacrifice teammates for getting one pick, making it so that you lose the fight. If it's 2 CP, like Anubis second point, even if you get 3 picks, those 3 have spawn advantage and will be back a lot faster than your friends who you let die. You may be able to fly straight towards a Widow in bronze and kill her, but this is a bad habit you shouldn't learn. If you have to go for her, surprise her, don't show her where you're coming from, and sneak up from the sides and kill her instantly or damage her so she has to reposition. But keep track of your teammates as you do so. Don't spend your whole ult chasing enemy Mercy, Ana, or Widow. Use it to support your team. Remember, in bronze, the DPS don't have great aim, positioning, and game sense. You may be able to kill them now, but you get into bad habits that will lose you games in the future. BattleMercy equals beam downtime equals less damage boost and healing for your team equals slower ult charge for your teammates. In bronze, individual picks are a lot less important than what ults can do, and the way to win as Mercy is to be better than the enemy support. If they are out chasing kills and do it poorly, your team can capitalize on that. Even the tiniest mistakes can have big impact. Focus on your performance and you will climb. Pistol Mercy is probably not the way to go. I'll go into more depth on all of these subjects as the series continues, and will give a lot of examples in VOD reviews. Your first area of focus. Try not to walk and focus on using Guardian Angel to move around. This will force you to create space between you and your teammates and help you with your awareness, as you will be looking for friends to fly to. Try to be the last person to die in a fight. Be one step ahead of your enemy, listen to their footsteps, anticipate their moves. Don't linger on the same spot for too long, and try not to stand still. If possible, take the high ground. People like to tunnel vision in bronze, and it's pretty much out of sight, out of mind. Test the different settings and see which ones you prefer. It will feel weird, so give them a fair chance. Accept that you will rarely get praise for your plays. Be the praise for yourself. It helps to mute written chat. Press P and click on the chat bubble or /hide chat. But this will also hide I need healing and other written chat messages. And if you type something, you're going to be able to see everything that's been written anyway. Voice chat is a different subject that I will not go into now. Try to not rest at all some games and see the outcome. In bronze, you can often just walk into the enemy team and rest someone and get out alive, but as stated before, it might not be the best choice. Not resting at all is not the answer either, but it will be a help in knowing when to and when not to, if you just remove the ability completely. I'm not going to talk about Valkyrie, as there are a lot of videos about it. I will say 3 things though. If the fight is over, don't spend your Valk healing up the team. Do that after and use it to get new ult charge. Damage boost your team so that they can get ult charge. You will descend if you press control. Use this if you find yourself too high up with no one to fly to and a scary ult is popped. Mercies in bronze hold their Valk way too long. You get it super fast as you usually heal so much. So consider this an ability and rest your ult. That way you will be more careful with your rest usage and learn how to use Valk better. Is there anything specific you struggle with? Have a game you would like me to review? Please let me know in the comment section below. And if you want more tips on how to solo queue with Mercy and get from bronze to diamond, please subscribe. Also check out my Twitch for live tips and tricks.
さあさあお立ち会い。